In a small, forgotten village nestled between rolling hills and a whispering river, lived a man named Kale. He was known not for wealth or status, but for a poverty so deep it seemed woven into the very fabric of his being. His clothes were a patchwork of mended rags, his home a humble sack that shivered in the wind, and his stomach was a constant aching void. Every morning, Kale would wake to the gnawing pangs of hunger, a cruel reminder of his empty pantry. The villagers, though not wealthy themselves, often looked upon him with a mixture of pity and a secret, unspoken relief that his fate was not their own. One crisp autumn morning, the village elder announced that grand harvest festival. There would be feasting, music, and dancing. The very thought made Kyle's hunger sharpen into a painful blade. He knew he wouldn't be welcome at the feast. His presence would be a grim reminder of the hardship that everyone else was so eager to forget, even just for one night. So, he decided to venture into the Whispering Woods, a place most villagers avoided, rumored to be enchanted and full of strange secrets. His hope was simple, to find a few late-season berries or mushrooms, enough to quiet the rumbling in his belly for a little while. As Kale pushed deeper into the woods, the trees grew thicker, their branches tangling overhead to form a dense canopy. Sunlight struggled to pierce through, dappling the forest floor in shifting patterns of light and shadow. It was quieter here, the sounds of the village replaced by the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a bird. Driven by desperation, Kale searched under every bush and behind every moss-covered rock. His efforts yielded nothing but dirt-stained fingers and a growing sense of despair. The woods, it seemed, were just as empty as his life. Just as he was about to turn back, defeated, he stumbled upon a small clearing he had never seen before. In the center of the clearing stood an old, gnarled apple tree. But this was no more ordinary tree. Its leaves shimmered with a golden light, and hanging from its branches were three perfect, luminous apples. They glowed with an inner fire, a warm, inviting light that seemed to pulse with life. Kyle's heart leapt. He had never seen anything so beautiful, so magical. The apples looked so plump and juicy. He could almost taste their sweetness, feel their life-giving energy flowing through him. He approached the tree with a sense of awe, his hunger momentarily forgotten in the face of such wonder. He reached out a trembling hand and plucked one of the glowing apples. It was warm to the touch, and as he held it, a gentle voice echoed in his mind, not with words, but with a feeling of pure, unconditional love and abundance. It promised to grant a wish to whoever consumed it. Kale was stunned. One wish. He could wish for a mountain of gold, a palace, or a feast that would never end. He could finally leave his life of poverty behind forever. Kyle's stomach growled, a powerful, earthy reminder of his immediate need. The temptation was immense. He could eat the apple right now, wish for a lifetime of full bellies, and he never feel this gnawing emptiness again. But as he looked at the two remaining apples, a thought took root in his mind. What about others? Was he the only one who suffered? He thought of Elara, the elderly widow whose hands were too stiff with arthritis to tend her own garden. He thought of Finn, the young orphan boy who often scavenged for scraps by the river. Their faces, at with their own quiet struggles, appeared in his mind's eye. A profound realization washed over Kale. If he used the wish for himself, he would be full, yes, but the village would remain the same. The root of the problem wasn't just his own empty stomach, but the scarcity that tucked so many lives around him. A single, selfish wish felt hollow, a temporary fix for a much deeper wound. With a heavy sigh, he carefully placed the glowing apple into his tattered pouch. He then plucked the other two apples. His heart now set on a different path, one that led not away from his community, but deeper into it. Instead of returning to his empty sack, Kale walked towards the center of the village. The festival was in full swing, the air filled with the scent of roasted meat and the sound of cheerful music. He felt a pang of his old loneliness, but it was quickly replaced by a new sense of purpose. He first sought out old Elara. He found her sitting alone on her porch, watching the festivities from a distance. Her eyes, usually clouded with pain, lit up with surprise when she saw Kale approaching. He gently placed one of the glowing apples in her frail, wrinkled hands. "For you, Elara," he sighed softly. "May it bring you comfort." She looked at the apple, then at Kale, a tear rolling down her weathered cheek. She took a small bite, and a warm, golden light enveloped her. She stood up, stretching her fingers without a single twinge of pain, her face transformed by a look of pure, unadulterated joy and relief. She didn't need to say a word. Her grateful smile was thanks enough. Next, Kale found Finn by the riverbank, trying to catch a fish with a makeshift line. The boy's face was smudged with dirt, his expression one of intense concentration and frustration. Kale sat down beside him and offered the second apple. "Here, Finn," he sighed with a kind smile. "Something to fill your stomach." The boy's eyes widened at the sight of the glowing fruit. He took a huge, hungry bite, Andy asked the magic flow through him. His wish wasn't for toys or sweets, but for a home, for a family to belong to. That very evening, the village baker Andy, his wife, who had long wished for a child, felt a strange pull towards the river. They found Finn, Andy seeing the profound loneliness in his eyes. They opened their hearts and their home to him. With both magical apples given away, Kel was left with the one he had first plucked, still nestled in his pouch. He was just as hungry as he had been that morning, perhaps even more so. His legs ached, and his stomach felt like a hollow drum. As he walked back to his shack, the joyous sounds of the festival faded behind him. He felt a moment of doubt. Had he been a fool, he could have solved all his problems, but instead, he was still the same poor, hungry man. He entered his cold, dead shack and he sat on his straw mattress. He pulled out the last glowing apple. Its light filled the small room, casting dancing shadows on the walls. He looked at it, his reflection staring back from its polished, golden surface. He saw not a fool, but a man who had chosen compassion over comfort. He saw a man who had found a different kind of nourishment. He hadn't wished for gold or a palace. He had given his chances away, and in doing so, he felt a strange sense of fullness, a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with food. With that final, peaceful thought, Cale took a bite of the last apple. He made no more wish. He simply ate, savoring the sweet, magical taste. As the last bite disappeared, the apple's light didn't just fade. It exploded outwards, filling the shack, the village, and the entire valley with a soft, golden radiance. And as the sun rose the next morning, the villagers awoke to a miracle. The barren fields were now lush and green, overflowing with crops. The river teemed with fish. The fruit trees in every orchard were heavy with ripe, perfect fruit. The Whispering Woods was no more longer a place of fear but a bountiful forest, open and welcoming to all. Kyle's shack was still humble, his clothes still patched, but he was no more longer the poorest man in the village. Though abundance was shared by everyone, hunger became a distant memory, replaced by a spirit of community and mutual support. Kale, the man who had nothing, had given them everything. He had taught them the most profound lesson of all, that true wealth isn't what you keep for yourself, but what you share with others. His active selflessness had nourished not just his own soul, but the soul of the entire village, forever changing their fate. He found his richness not in possessions, but in the love and the respect of his community, a treasure far more valuable than any golden apple.